Think about what you did.
Nobody makes it to the end of these things. Come on.
The Broken Agenda Podcast. Sponsored by Laughing Rock Technology.
So I had something to clean. I dug so many latrines in junior high through the yard. It looked like World War One. I don't. You know, we officially sound like old men now.
Yeah,
right? Like
absolutely.
This is old man talk. Well, I mean, man, if we didn't sound like old fuddy-duddies before, this topic is going to make us look not so great in some people's eyes. But you know what? I say we just dive
Got to
in.
do it.
We got to do that. Well, look, we talked about this a year ago, you and I.
Mm-hmm.
And I said no to the topic because I thought it was going to make us look bad.
Yeah.
It's only been a year. Not even a year, maybe 6 months.
Mm-hmm.
Now it kind of makes us look like geniuses. And that is a weird shift in society. But, I mean, just to give you some time, I'm not even... Do you know what we're talking about today?
You told me you didn't want me to know.
All right, fine. So let's just talk about where we're at right now as of March 23rd, 2022. So a third of all wheat produced in the world comes from Russia and Ukraine. Now, we don't have access to that anymore. I think something like 15 or 20% of the global calories is wheat.
Yeah.
So, all right, so a third of that, gone. Fertilizer pricing. It is up about, 300% right now?
I don't know. I haven't looked at it for a while.
It's like 400% right now. Almost 50% of all fertilizer, artificial fertilizer used for farming comes from Russia. That's gone. We don't have it anymore. And by the way, they did the math. Without artificial fertilizer, the United States crop, just in the U.S., drops by 40% in 1 year.
Yeah.
40% crop loss.
It's awesome.
It's awesome. It's
Batting
great.
1,000.
Energy crisis. Have either one of you looked at your energy bill recently?
There's an energy crisis?
Jesus Christ.
I turned my heat off. I didn't.
You turned it off? You've just been wearing sweaters?
Yeah, we got one of them, like 4 people Snuggies, and we just walk around in those all night and all day.
I don't like my family that much. Gasoline, more than doubled. Natural gas, doubled.
Mm-hmm.
Propane, more than doubled in, months?
Yeah.
A few months.
Mm-hmm.
And that's not going to get any better
No.
because we're cut off from half the world, a significant portion of the world's energy supply, and we refuse to produce it. And on top of all that, and so if you're going to lose 40% of your crop, then obviously feed's going to be down, so that's going to impact meat.
Yep.
And also, at the price, you can't recoup your fertilizer costs. So soybeans take significantly less fertilizer to grow than corn. So already farmers all across the country that typically grow corn are saying, we'll just grow soy this year.
Mm-hmm.
So now you're going to have a massive corn shortage because of the price of fertilizer. So what we're talking about today is, I don't know how bad this gets, but I think everybody knowing a little bit about survival techniques
Real bad.
and just some limited prepping is not a bad thing to talk about.
No, it's the perfect time. I know when I got into the topic was probably about 12, 13 years ago when I really dove in, and it was a bad word to be a survivalist.
You're right, it was.
It was very much a bad word.
Yeah, I mean, have you ever gotten into any of this?
I don't know. I just figure I'll survive one way or another.
You probably will. You'll probably be fine.
I don't know.
I guess you'd be fine.
I rely on my creativity and
Yeah, you'd probably do well.
figure it out. I don't know.
Well, what do you consider survivalist? Like, what does that mean to you? Like, what are you referring to?
To me, and kind of the path I took was just having the necessary knowledge and skills to survive outside of our standard comfort that we live in every day.
So what skills would that be?
So I've covered everything from sheltercraft, firecraft, being able to identify plants and trees and natural resources.
Didn't you blacksmith for a while?
I did that for fun, but I know how to do it. Yeah.
I would like to know how to identify plants and trees.
Yeah, I don't know that either.
It's really fun.
Is it?
Yeah, it's kind of
Be able to know what I
fun.
could eat. I mean, I'd probably just start eating grass and then work my way up.
You wouldn't
from
want to eat
there.
grass, but there's plenty of stuff that grows in a yard that you could eat.
Yeah.
Wood sorrel, that's a good one. Big high in vitamin C. That's
Yeah.
the little heart-shaped clover things. Tastes like oranges.
What?
Yeah,
Really?
yeah.
Why does stuff that has vitamin C taste like oranges?
I don't know. Maybe that's the taste of vitamin C. Although I took a supplement once and it didn't taste that way.
No, supplements taste like thoughts.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, they're pretty
Exactly.
nasty. Wait, what else can you eat in the yard? I know you can eat those onion grass.
Yeah, you can eat those. You're gonna have a lot of like wild garlic will grow, wild onions, like you were saying. Plantain, what's called broadleaf plantain.
I thought a plantain was a banana-looking thing.
No, and actually I'll share.
There's a different type of plantain.
Yeah.
This is the non-banana
This is
looking
called
plantain.
broadleaf plantain. You've probably seen this in your salad bags before. Oops, sorry.
Sorry.
So this is a broadleaf
Oh, yeah,
plantain.
yeah. No, I pull those out and throw them away all the time.
Oh yeah.
This is good for like if you get a bug bite or a minor burn. You can chew these leaves up, and you don't eat them, but you spit out the juice and stuff and the leftover plant matter.
Get
Put
out
it
of
on.
here.
Mm-hmm.
Really, like kind of like aloe.
Yeah, to some extent. You got to get the juice. You got to chew it up. It kind of tastes bad. When
And
you
that'll
chew
do
it
what?
up. It'll get rid of itching. It'll help heal minor burns and that kind of stuff.
By swallowing it.
No, he
No,
said chew it
or
up
chew it
and
and
then
spit it
smear
out.
make
the
it into
spit
a
on
pulp,
it.
and then kind of rub the pulp on it.
Yeah, I used it for bug bites. So I get a mosquito bite to try to.
And it worked.
Mm-hmm.
Get
Yeah.
out of here.
Now it works.
I gotta stop digging those up. They grow all over the back of my.
You still
There's
dig them up,
there's
just-
just
you gotta
there's this
start eating them.
there's this one spot in my yard where they just grow all over like crazy.
So you're
Keep 'em.
ready. You're ready for
Bug bites.
and fires.
Awesome.
Awesome. Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. So plantain. They call it a plantain weed.
And fires.
Ye-
Why
yeah.
fires?
People call it a weed, but like when I used to, I guess, train survival with a group of people, we would do weed walks, where you walk around just like an open field that someone has, and you identify different plants. Like what plant? There's something called spotted touch-me-not that usually grows near poison ivy, whose leaves will help you get rid of a poison ivy rash.
So is it like naturally resistant to poison ivy because of its proximity to poison ivy?
Yeah.
And if you eat it, do you build immunity to it?
What's that? Like poison ivy and
Like
stuff?
if you eat poison,
There,
does it build
there's some
immunity?
theory like if you drink goat's milk and that goat had a heavy diet of poison ivy because they're resistant to poison ivy, that you can build up a natural resistance to it.
Is there any like reality to that?
I don't know. I can tell you, I haven't drank goat's milk, but I can tell you when I was younger, I used to get poison ivy pretty regularly. And now that I've gotten older and been around it more, especially doing some of these weed walks and stuff, it doesn't affect me as much as it
It
used
could
to.
have just been you physiology.
Just
changing
general,
physiologically.
yeah. So I imagine there's got to be something to it though, like absorbing it. Because they even say like if you have allergies, one of the best things you can do is go to, like if I was going to the mountains and I wanted to prep myself to not have allergies when I got there, I could order some of their honey, from, like natural, unpasteurized honey, and eat that because the bees are collecting that pollen, and my body would build a, it would be able to identify those pollens.
I thought we disproved natural immunity through COVID.
We did.
It doesn't work anymore.
Oh,
Used to.
okay.
That was
Then
old
scratch
stuff.
it. I'll edit that.
You're
out.
talking 2018 stuff.
Yeah,
That
exactly.
was so 2018. All right, this is interesting stuff. See, I know nothing about this. I can literally identify an oak tree, and that's it. And I might still be wrong.
That's good though, because then you could, acorns, and then
Acorns,
you can
yep.
leach the acorns and make acorn flour.
Yeah, you can just straight up bake them too, right? And just eat them.
Yeah, with acorns you have to soak them to get the tannins out.
Oh, okay.
Soak them for a few days.
Interesting. That would be something I should probably learn. Is at least basic plant stuff.
Yeah, I mean,
I mean, I know what a
I think it'd be. I
dandelion is.
think it's a good skill set to have.
It probably is. All right, so that would be a good one to learn. So what else did you learn? Obviously, you did metal work, which is always good to know.
So a lot of the survival philosophy details around three things. You need shelter. It's your most critical thing.
Okay.
You need fire because that's how you get water, and you got to be able to get food. So it's really shelter. The rule of threes, I think, is 3 minutes without oxygen, 3 hours without shelter, 3 days without water, and 3 weeks without food. So
I've heard
you
that
kind of
before.
approach it that way. So shelter is always your most critical thing. Then part of that is getting fire to get water.
You're assuming cold weather. Fire to get water.
You're gonna need to purify water.
Oh, you gotta boil it.
You gotta
Okay,
purify
gotcha. I see
water.
what you're saying.
Yeah, because you can't just walk up to a stream and
Well,
drink water.
then let me ask you this: would part of being prepared for survivalism would that be having a water purification system?
Yes, absolutely.
I mean, then you don't have to boil the water; you just got to run it through your water purifier.
Right. You should still always boil it, but like I didn't pull it out, but I have what's called it's a straw that you can drink straight from a stream and has a heavy charcoal filter in it. To
Okay.
pull out all the
Which
heavy
isn't going
metals.
to get microbes out, though, is it?
It won't. I think they have a certain rating that they say there are some more advanced filters that will remove
So
microbes.
large
But
parasites it'll filter out, but maybe the small stuff it won't.
yeah,
Okay.
you're still going to catch something, but you should always boil your water anyways.
Okay. I mean, generally speaking, though, if you're going to a fast-moving stream, you're probably okay. Is always what I heard.
The thing is, you go to a fast-moving stream. What's laying upstream? Is there a dead deer?
Yeah, I don't.
So
that's
really the only place you can drink natural is if you're like in the mountains and it's coming through.
you
the
find
rocks.
it, or you find it out of like the source right where it's coming up. But even
It would
you
have
can
to be
still
coming,
have
like,
some
'cause-
problems with that.
Yeah, the way I learned it is as long as it's passing through like a mountain. Like when we go to the mountains, you can find places in the where it's like I don't know the rock cliffs or whatever.
Now, is
where
that
it's-
because the limestone and everything in the mountain is
It's
natural?
filtering
all gonna
through the
naturally
ground. Yeah.
purify
It's-
it.
Yeah.
Yeah, because anytime any water source, even if you go to the original source, if there's something dead laying in it, you have a chance of catching any of the microbes and all that kind of stuff. And so it needs some sort of filtration.
Even if it's bubbling out of the ground, I mean, it could be coming in right up there and just running down some nook. So I mean,
And if there's one thing I've learned,
unless you know for sure you're in an underground well, like that's probably the only.
Yeah, and I
You're still risking it.
year and a half I've been living in the woods now. There's one thing I've learned since I moved here is there's dead stuff everywhere.
yeah.
Stuff dies all the time.
Yep.
Yeah, kind of crazy. I'm surprised there's not more dead birds.
There's
though.
death around us.
I find dead birds all the time.
Do you?
Mm-hmm.
I have two big windows in the front of the house, and I find that I feel so bad. And I'm sorry. I don't know. Somebody's gonna get upset with this. They see them and they just want to fly right into my house, and you just hear it. You're like in the kitchen, you just hear that boom, and you're
Yeah.
like, that guy's dead.
That happens
You
in
go
my
out
house,
there,
too.
And there's a beautiful robin with his neck snapped, and it looks like a horror movie.
Well, what happens, like the reflection of the woods is on the window. They think that they're just
They're
flying. Like it looks like a pathway to them.
Yeah, it's kind of cruel actually.
Wasn't that an old Windex commercial?
I think it was back when they could do funny stuff.
Yeah.
Back when we had a sense of humor. Yeah, that was a good time.
Isn't it an insurance commercial now where the Angry Birds come?
Well, you can do that because they're cartoons.
Cartoons, yeah.
Yeah, and they're all different colors, so you can do that.
It's okay.
I guess
the
I don't know
Angry
the
Birds.
rules anymore. I don't freaking. All I know is I was telling Tyler earlier, the people that will save us will be the comedians, because they're fed up. They're all fed up, and they're all doing like a no apology tour right now. Where they're saying the most vile thing they can think of, just because you know what, I'm gonna get in trouble no matter what. I might as well just lean into
Yeah,
it.
exactly.
I maintain the funniest comedy is happening right now. These guys are they've got like 2 years of pent up comedy, and now they're just they're over it.
Unleashing.
Oh, they're coming out. It's great. It's so great. All right. Well, we're going to get into that more because I think you're going to be kind of our local hero on the survivalist stuff. But I wanted to just bring up with you guys. Have you heard of the Sri Lanka experiment? This was just during COVID. This was not like a long time ago. It was like in the last 2 years.
I don't know if I have. I mean, the word sounds familiar, but
Well, Sri Lanka is a country.
yeah.
So it's down by India. It's in the Indian Ocean, I believe, right? It's right off the
I think so,
bottom tip
yeah.
of India, yeah. And the I think it was the Rockefeller Foundation. Yeah, they convinced, and they're like this big green hippie foundation and everything else. They convinced Sri Lanka to get rid of artificial fertilizers, which we're all going to have to do over the next couple of years because we can't get it anymore. So this is kind of like a microcosm of what the world's about to see. And they said, just stop with or just go green. Stop with the artificial fertilizers. Knock it off. So before they did this, they were a middle-class society, middle to upper middle-class society, and they were completely self-sufficient on food. Within 1 year, the vast majority of their population was on the poverty line, and they had to import $500 million in rice just to keep their people from starving to death. 1 year. All they did, they destroyed their number one export, which was tea. Tea wouldn't grow. Just it all died, and they couldn't export anything. And they lost 20% of their rice crop in a year, all because they went away from artificial fertilizers. I mean, it's insane, and this is what the whole world's getting ready to move into, is this lack of fertilizer, this inability to maximize crop yield. And we got 8.5 billion people on this planet. Like, we kind of, I feel like especially in America,
Population control.
well, it
movement?
might happen naturally through this.
But,
I mean, how
really?
many people are going to
And by
die?
accident? It's an accident too.
Is that a different conversation you want to
No,
have?
no. I'm just asking.
Well, I mean, is it an accident? I mean, we shut down our economy for 2 years. Then we allow a war to happen between the number one wheat producer and the number one fertilizer producer. I mean, this isn't a conspiracy theory. I'm just asking the question. Like, all in the name of globalism. I mean, it's going to hurt the poorest of us the most. I mean, Africa is not going to do well through this thing. Because what's the first thing the richer countries are going to do? You're going to buy up all the
Buy it
food
all up.
supply.
Yep.
And what
Hoard.
the globe has, what, a 90-day food supply? globally.
I think so, yeah.
It's about 90 days, about 3-month food supply we have globally. So if we stop making food right now, we can survive for 3 months, and then that's it. Now we're literally in, we roll back in time 5,000 years, and everybody's living off their farm, their land.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, if you're in a city, I don't know what you do.
Riot.
They riot.
Loot.
Yep, they're gonna loot. I mean, I would say, and if you disagree with me, I would say one of the number one things, if you're truly concerned about some of the stats we're throwing out here right now, and for anybody that thinks it's a short-term thing, I don't know how to express to you, I don't see any way of fixing this in the next few years. I mean, even if we turn on America's energy supply right now and crank the thing up to maximum, it's still going to take 2-3 years to catch up to what we shut off. I mean, this is not a tap. It's not on or off. It's not the faucet. I mean, it takes years to ramp up mass petroleum production, mass natural gas production, fracking operations. This stuff is not like, oh, we'll just put a pipe in the ground and just start.
It's like a train, like a train getting going.
Or a big, or an ocean liner. Like it's going to take a long time to turn it around. So even if we did it now, we're still looking at 1 to 2 years to fix the immediate issue, and we're refusing to do it. So the energy thing's not going to get any better. We have no real control over the fertilizer issue. Even if we start subsidizing fertilizer production domestically, it's still going to take years to get operations up and running.
Yeah.
I mean, there's still a chlorine shortage because we had one fire in 2020. Well, we had 2 places in the United States that made chlorine, and one of them burned. And it's going to take 5 years to rebuild and get operations back up and running. Well, if it takes a bunch of experienced people that know their business 5 years to get back up and running, how long is it going to take a bunch of people that don't do this to get into it, learn how to do it, and to make it at scale? I mean, this is not an easy thing to fix. And wheat, we can't get fertilizer. But the people that won't make corn are all of a sudden going to say, yeah, we'll make wheat. I mean, no, it's the exact same issue. They're still going to make soy. So, I mean, these are long-term problems. So what we're talking about today is what do you do? I mean, so where do you want to start? You want to start with money? Let's start with...
Yeah, I mean, you can really start anywhere with it.
I will tell you, I did ask, I asked my broker about buying commodities. Because personally, I think we're moving into a commodity-driven market.
Yeah. I
mean, who gives a crap about buying Amazon when you can't get wheat? Wheat prices are going to go through the roof. Corn prices are going to go through the roof.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I don't know. I'm switching my entire investment strategy over to commodities. I don't know if that's smart or not, and I haven't done it yet. I'm not giving advice. But, yeah, I mean...
Makes sense.
That's kind of what I'm thinking. But, all right, so let's talk about... money. Let's assume the worst.
Okay.
Let's just, why not? We're having a podcast.
Yeah.
On it. Let's assume it all goes to hell in a handbasket, and people are in this. They're fighting over limited supply. You got 350 million people in the United States, and you got enough food to feed 100 million. So you got a bunch of people out in the cold, and nobody wants to die. So, what do you use as money when cash can't buy you what you want? So, because quite honestly, a $100 bill means nothing when
there's no government to back it.
Or there's no government to back it, and food is what you really need.
Yep.
And you're trying to get food and give that person $100, and like, what am I going to do with this? Like, I need the food I have. Like, I need you to give me something I need. It becomes, in a collapse, you go back to barter. So let's assume nobody cares about money anymore. And I know that sounds dystopian, and this might be a worst case scenario that never comes, but let's assume that happens. What are the things that you want to own that'll retain value, even if money does not?
Precious metal is always one of the first ones.
Equipment that you can do things with.
Equipment. Like what are you thinking? Like shovels, like handheld equipment or powered?
Yeah, industrial equipment that can do things. A big commercial building that you can set up manufacturing in. And
well, hold on a second. We're talking about energy shortages here.
Well, you're going to have to still be able to finagle things. There'll still be ways that you can try to. You're still going to need. There's still going to be a way that you can try to produce something. Well, so you'll still need still need, I don't know. You can still find ways to generate power in some fashion.
I think with monetary or economic collapse, you're not thinking about producing because you're not going to have the means to.
You're thinking about survival.
You're surviving, right? So you're growing your own food. You're not worried about producing cupcakes for people.
Right, but you
know what I
can't
mean?
grow it outside when the bandits are running all over the place.
Okay,
They're
so
gonna
maybe that's the
ransack.
point.
You're gonna ransack your gardens, ransack your yards, ransack houses. Like you're gonna have to be in almost a, you're gonna need to have locations and places where you can try to like regroup.
No, you're
you know?
absolutely right. I mean, that's absolutely
I
right.
mean, this is one of the thought process of the building we have. How we can set this thing up almost as like some kind of safe haven of some sort, defendable. And
You guys are building it defendable?
I'm just saying, like, if you have, if you're a family of 4, you can't really necessarily defend the house.
Well, it depends on where the house
But
is.
how about an apartment building is going to have a much if a community apartment building bands together, they're going to have a much stronger line of defense than
Okay, so that's a good point right
than
there.
a residential
Community.
home. Like one, you know what I mean? We're going to go back to where people are going to start to bond together. You'll have people that are going to go out. You're going to organize where you're going to have guards at night. You're going to start establishing perimeters, and then you're going to start to establish, rations and people coming together and working together to figure stuff out.
And I see that. I think, though, from the other perspective, you have a group of people that large. You talk about rationing. Somebody's going to think someone else got something more than them.
No.
And then they're going to talk to somebody else who's like, yeah, they gave them one extra slice of cheese. That's bullshit. Now you got dissent within the... so the more mouths to feed, the more likely you're going to have strife. Whereas you have a family of 4, it's easier to feed 4 mouths than 100 mouths.
Well, along those same lines, you can't really have community without some sort of consistency.
And
I don't think
you
it
have no
definitely-
defense with a family of 4. Your defense, your ability to defend.
Well, it depends. What are you
is-
defending against?
Mhm.
I mean, if you're defending against
Uh,
individual bandits or small groups of bandits, you certainly do.
Do bandits travel in small groups or large packs?
It's going to depend.
It's going to depend. It's going to depend how long it goes on.
They're
It's going
gonna
to depend how long people allow it to go on.
They're going to come in packs.
They're going to grow in groups just like people that try to reform civilization will grow in groups. I mean, it's going to be for some people it'll be easier to just steal.
Mm-hmm.
And those become the groups of people that come together to steal. And then some people are going to say, let's try to rebuild. And they're going to come together. I think in the very beginning, though, you're not really going to... I think the packs of bandits will form long before people get organized.
Yeah.
Because the first thing that's going to happen is you're going to get the people that are just looking for the easy buck. And they're going to get together and be like, hey, you got a gun? Great, I got a gun. I got 6 other guys with guns. Let's go take all their stuff.
Yep.
And that's going to be a lot easier to form because you can promise immediate results. I mean, look at America right now. Everybody wants the magic pill. Everybody wants the cure for a disease. Everybody wants the immediate vaccine. Everybody wants everything right now. That mentality will not vanish. People are going to want immediate results. They're going to want to go and take what they need right now.
When I think a real world example of that is when they started doing the shutdowns with COVID and stuff. Think about the grocery store where people standing there like, hey, you take one, I'll take one. Now it's filling your carts with toilet paper because
And-
you needed the toilet paper.
And I'll never forget seeing a video from my own grocery store of a guy who must have been 6'7", 6'8", and he probably weighed about 350 pounds, and he was not fat. He was a big, strong guy.
Yeah.
And they had a limit on how much they were limiting food. You could only buy so much chicken. Like, and it was like 1 pack of chicken per day. He took a grocery cart up to the thing, put all the chicken in the grocery cart, walked up to the register, threw money down on it, and people are like, "You can't take that, sir." And he just kind of looked at him and was like, "Stop me," and threw it all in his car, and came back and took all the beef. And this guy, he didn't even have a band. He was just trusting that most people wouldn't do anything, and even if they did, he's big enough to stop them. And there wasn't even a shortage then. It was just one big guy that said, "Screw everybody else." So we've got time has proven this over and over and over again that will happen. So,
Till someone takes his knees out.
well, and eventually people will get organized, but at that point, he probably sold all the chicken. like the chicken's gone, or he ate it, or fed it to his dogs, or whatever they did with it. But eventually somebody's gonna show up to the grocery store with a Glock and put him down. But you got to wait for law enforcement to fall apart at that point. Otherwise, you're looking at assault charges. There's going to be a whole point to there where law enforcement's still running, but nobody can get anything.
Yep.
So the old fears of going to prison are still going to be overlapped with the fears that you may starve to death.
Mm-hmm.
So normal, civilized people will struggle with that, and they'll have to go through an adjustment period. But people that don't give a crap, they'll flip a switch and they'll go right into survival mode. There's going to be very different mentalities at play here. And people that can't make the leap are going to be the first ones to be in a breadline or dead. They're going to be begging off the system, and system failing, they're not going to survive. So while I love your idea of tools, I think that would be a long-term thing. I don't think it's going to help you shorter. But I do think you were onto something, though, with making sure you have tools. I mean, the ability to create on your own property, the ability to plant, the ability to build.
You're gonna need like old, pick heads.
Yeah.
Yep.
You're gonna need these things.
Wedge
You're gonna need
axes.
metal. You're gonna need lots of metal things that you can like forge things, defensible weapons. You know what I mean? You're gonna need that stuff.
Well, and
What you guys are talking about, you're gonna need. Then you're gonna need places where you can shelter it.
Well, I think to Tyler's point,
to some
shelter
point,
becomes number one. So
hoard-
if you have a
hoard
house
it.
you can't defend,
Yeah,
you got to have a place to go. You have to.
and it's gonna be tough. It's gonna be tough
For a lot of people.
You're gonna have to band. You're gonna have to find community, and people will have to band together.
And remember, outside of family, most people probably won't take you in unless you're bringing something, unless you're offering something.
Yeah, skills.
Skills or supplies. Like if you roll up with a minivan filled with penicillin,
Be like, what skills do you have?
they're probably going to take you. But if you haven't prepped and you show up and you're like, hey, we're hungry, they'll be like, get off my property.
Yeah, it's
But
gonna
we were
be-
friends. Yeah, we were.
Now it's time to bring something to the table.
We're friends. That's why I didn't shoot you immediately. Get off your property. You're welcome. That's why there's a warning shot. Well, I mean, to that point, I think, and I don't know how anybody watching this podcast feels about firearms, but if you don't own firearms and bullets at this stage of the game, I give it some serious thought. And I have, even if you're just looking for examples, I brought 2 to the pod. How much time do we have?
4 minutes, just under 4 minutes.
All right, I'm going to bring these out. There are 2 I recommend, and Tyler knows more about firearms than I do. But one, I think if you're worried about any type of civil issues, a shotgun is phenomenal. I'm not talking about self-defense. I'm talking about hunting. I mean, this is a 20 gauge shotgun. It's nothing special. This is cheap as heck. You can buy it for under $500. It's just a Remington, is a Force 870. Remington 870 pump action shotgun, great for hunting birds. If you put buckshot in it, it'll take down a deer. I mean, it's only a 20 gauge, but that's all you need. Don't listen to the crazy gun people that you need all this crazy firepower and need all this crazy thing. What you're really looking to do is find food and have something that you can defend yourself with. That serves the bill on both. The problem with that is you can't use it for small game. For small game, I would recommend this. So this is a Smith & Wesson 22-15. It's just 22 caliber, nothing major. It looks scary, but it's half a step above a BB gun. But this is great for shooting rabbit, shooting squirrel. I mean, what else? Yeah, groundhog. Anything on your property or near your property that you don't want to obliterate because you want to eat the meat. This is a fantastic firearm. Ammo is cheap, and it's very practical. It's also scary, so it might scare somebody off. I don't know.
Yeah.
Tyler told me it was scary.
That's the scariest 22 I've ever seen.
So, well, it's a rifle, so it is a scary 22. But you want it to be scary. You don't want a pink gun. You don't want your daughter being like, "Hey, Daddy, I'm playing with this."
I hope I won't have to defend my house with a 22.
You could.
I wouldn't mind.
You could.
I feel like 22s get a bad rap. I mean, I don't know. You poke a
think-
couple holes in people, they run away.
Yeah.
And I'd much rather poke a couple holes and have them run away than have a murder on my head.
I'd rather have them go down and then eat
I
'em.
know, and that's the old.
And
that's-
then you eat them, man. It's like hunting and
Jesus.
It's like defense and hunting.
All right, so we've got a couple minutes. Can we talk about this? Would you eat them?
Depends what's going on.
I
How long
know.
have I been without food?
I exactly.
I saw the movie
That's
Alive.
2 birds with 1 stone very easily.
I got to be honest, I don't really see, I've seen people just walking around that kind of look delicious.
But then I don't know. I guess I mean I don't know how you can't tell if somebody's got something that you don't want to eat, right?
You cook it good. You boil them like Tyler said. I don't know what you do.
I know there was some issues with like the deer around the local area. They had a disease.
CWD.
Yeah, so
Chronic wasting disease.
I don't know how you tell that.
Now, what would that do to you if you ate the meat?
They say nothing. They get prions, and
Okay.
they literally stop eating.
Give you bacteria.
Zombie deer,
maybe
deer disease they call it.
But if you cook them all the way through, you're fine.
That's what they say right now.
Well, they were
there's
throwing.
been
I know people were not like
yeah. So
butchering their deers because of it.
Yeah,
and they
so-
were. I actually think they held back hunting for a little bit.
what like if you're in
I don't know if it's the same thing.
It
what
is.
you're talking about.
No, it is, yeah. And I think Berks County kind of falls into this. That there's some zones that are CWD areas. So if you shoot a deer in Berks County, part of Lancaster County, and some other parts in the state, you have to cut the head off and put it in a drop box that they can test, and they'll give you the results back.
Do they give you the head back?
You don't get the head, no.
I imagine testing would shut down in a critical situation.
Yeah, I mean you're not going to care at that point though.
Well, it's like exactly what you said. How hungry am I?
Yeah.
Like, I think a lot of it comes down to how long is this going out and how hungry am I?
Yeah.
I don't think I'd be afraid. I'd eat a human. I mean, I don't know. I guess
Good
if
Lord.
I had to survive.
Yeah, you know what? We're in
Yeah,
a trust
I don't
tree
know.
with the nest. We can say things. It's fine.
I wouldn't like necessarily see it like I'd eat a dog. I'd eat a cat if I mean I wouldn't. I don't. Some people find that stuff pretty appalling. I'm not promoting cannibalism. Of
I don't know.
course.
I
mean,
saw a billboard
you know,
once. It was like 20 animals lined up,
you-
and it just had lines drawn down through them, and it just said how long you've been without food. And the last one on the list was a human. This was a billboard. It was like, right before that was dog and cat. But
I mean,
yeah.
look at the people from Alive. I mean, they survived because of that,
Mhm.
right? You know that movie with the plane
The
crash.
rugby team.
Yeah,
I mean,
Yeah.
you know,
I don't know. I find it's easier to digest mentally if you just call him long pig. Let's take a break.
Yeah, it's probably
All right, we'll be back in a short period of time, perhaps. So, see you soon.
on walks.
And driving. So where were we? So you were, before we started talking about eating people, you were talking about stuff you can use as alternate currency. And I think you said, all right, so the precious metals thing, I want to talk about this.
Yeah.
Because here's the thing. If you're really in that dire a situation where food is the problem, is precious metal even legitimately tradable?
It will be.
It will
I mean,
be to the people who've hoarded enough to they plan to use it, like to not to the person just trying to survive.
Because I don't know, if I had a ton of food and somebody came up to me and offered me some gold, I think I might be reluctant to part with food in a starvation situation for something, I don't know, unless I knew I could use that gold for something else.
And I think you would. So you have to keep in mind, if we're looking at a survival situation, most people are still going to have their idea of what society is and what things count as currency. So gold would be something that would be critical to have for a lot of people. So if they can, because they feel like it's universal, right? Everybody's going to want some level of gold. Personally, I'd want silver because you can
use it.
Yeah, you can use it.
I agree. I personally, I'd want copper.
Copper, yeah.
I think copper is cheaper to own.
Mm-hmm.
You can buy it more in bulk without breaking your bank, and I think it's very, very functional.
Yeah.
You can do a lot of stuff with copper. Very malleable, but it can also be hardened, and very conductive at a lower cost. I mean, you don't want to use your silver to make wire.
Right. You can use it to purify water as well. So
Copper.
Silver.
Silver.
Yeah.
Copper does too, doesn't it? It deionizes,
Yeah, it deionizes water.
but it won't purify.
Won't purify.
Yeah, but you need pure silver to purify water.
Yeah, that's the thing. You'd have to have pure
So
silver.
you gotta make sure
but-
you're getting the good stuff.
Yeah.
But I mean, you'd be getting, if you're buying some physical gold, physical silver, you're gonna get the good stuff.
How do you purify water with silver?
Just put it in.
You just put it in and it purifies it. How's it do it?
Well, it balances the pH because it's got I forget, it just deionizes the water and it actually causes the pH to balance out naturally. But it's also toxic to a lot of pathogens,
Yeah.
so it actually kills things in the water.
So by just dropping a pellet of silver.
You got to leave it in there for hours. So
What if you
like
had a
day or
silver
two.
cup?
Yeah, like if you had a supply of water. Now there's quicker and much better ways to
Yeah.
purify your water. But if you had to, I know a lot of people who collected pure silver coins just for the purpose of having it in case they needed to purify water, and they didn't have another means. But
Well, a lot of people would use that in conjunction with a filtration system.
Yeah.
Even if they built their own filter out of coffee filters or something, which you can do. Coffee filters, sand, rocks, stuff like that. And then use silver as kind of like a purifier in the process. So it's like a non-chemical purifier. It acts in a similar way as chlorine.
yeah,
So, but chlorine acts a lot faster.
you know, a lot of the purification tabs you get, it's basically the same thing. You can get tabs that you just throw in like a water bottle like that.
Okay.
It'll purify the water. Tastes like chemicals, but
It's all right. You're drinking.
yeah.
All right. So precious metals, agreed. Got that. And people will probably trade for it. What else? I mean,
Just a general currency.
I would say bullets are number one.
Bullets would be pretty important.
If you want to trade right away and you've got somebody that's, wants to go out hunting and is running low on bullets, those things are going to be worth their weight in more than gold.
Yeah. I'd even say a lot of people, the components, just assuming there's still a lot out there and you have them, the components to make a bullet: lead, brass, casings, primers, powder.
Yeah, and I think saving stuff is going to become a big component. Like you're not going to throw things away.
No.
Like even plastic wrappings and things like that, you wash them so you can use them again. Like you get this whole disposable society thing ends real quick
Yeah.
when everything has value. I would say canned goods.
Yeah, you're always going to have food as an obvious currency.
But you got to have a way to keep it. I mean, you got to imagine if things are so bad that we have food shortages, the energy shortages are going along with it. Freezers are probably not trustworthy unless you've got a generator. So some way to store food without having to rely on refrigerators and freezers is
Yeah.
probably going to be exceedingly valuable.
Smoked meat,
Smoked meat.
salted meat.
Yep.
Those will be big.
Jarred things.
Things that are jarred.
What else?
I had an idea and I forget now. I forget.
From a food standpoint?
Yeah, from a food
Well,
standpoint.
rations.
Yeah, having like the MREs and stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah. Dehydrated foods.
Yeah,
Seeds. Seeds are a big
Seeds
currency.
are huge.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that definitely. I mean, outside of food, maybe this is me because I'm a booze hound, but anytime things get bad, the alcohol industry always does well. I would say having a stockpile of alcohol is probably gonna benefit you.
Yeah, it could, as long as you don't use it for yourself.
Well, yeah, well, I mean,
Use it for the right purposes.
well, yeah, I mean, if you blow your Coke supply up your nose, I mean, you're not gonna make any profit on it. I mean, any of us in the Coke industry know that. I mean, no, I mean,
That's why it's called Laughing Rock.
I saw New Jack City. I know how these things work. I mean, Peekapoo or whatever his name was, he got caught doing it. That's why they had to put him down. Man, that's dating myself. That movie's from like 1994 or something like that. Jeez,
That was a good movie though.
that was a great movie.
That was Tupac's like rise, right? New Jack City.
Wasn't that Wesley Snipes too? It was before he tried to cheese off the IRS. Was that Wesley Snipes?
I kind of think so.
I feel like it was Wesley Snipes.
Yeah.
I think it was. He was awesome.
Is that the? Maybe it's not the movie I'm thinking of. What was Tupac's movie when he?
That wasn't New Jack
Wasn't
City.
it like the poetry one or something like that?
Dead Poet Society?
No, that's Robin Williams.
Yeah, that is definitely not Tupac.
No.
Dead
No, but I feel like there's something about-
Presidents? That's
No, not Dead Presidents either.
I don't know. Look, my Tupac lore is not that.
I mean, I think Wesley Snipes is in it, but wasn't Tupac?
Nothing but trouble.
Juice.
Well, just ask him. He's still alive.
I think Juice
Yeah,
is
he's
the movie
somewhere
I'm
out there.
thinking about.
Everybody knows it. Tupac.
Poetic Justice is the one I'm
Poetic
thinking of.
Justice.
Yeah.
I didn't like that movie.
It was always on TV. Like when
Was
I was
it?
a kid, and I needed something to watch. Yeah.
You know which movie was terrible? What was that one about the teacher that went into the inner city school? It was like Sharon Stone or something like that.
Yes, that's the one. Gangster's Paradise. Is
Gangster's Paradise. Is that what it was?
No, but
it
that's
was-
Coolio's song is from that.
Yes. God, that is the most insulting movie of all time. Like it takes a white woman from the burbs to go in and heal a bunch of inner city kids. It's like, really, this is what they need? More liberal white women in their lives. Yeah, I'm sure that's gonna make them really appreciate you. Like that was the dumbest movie of all time. It won like an Oscar or something like that. It was awful movie. why people have come to save us.
I mean, without it, we wouldn't have gotten Amish Paradise, though.
That is true.
Gotta
Which,
be thankful.
yeah, no, all hail, what's his name?
Weird Al.
Weird Al Yankovic.
Mm-hmm.
Good old Weird Al. We salute you, Weird Al. All right. Anyway, it always comes back to movies. Oh, medicine. That's a currency.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, you got some penicillin or some Percocets. You're gonna be a
That'd be
town rock
huge.
star.
Yep.
Yeah,
If you have insulin.
but you gotta keep it cool. That's the problem
Yeah.
with insulin.
Well, yeah, exactly.
So if you don't have a good, solid, reliable power supply, you're not going to be able to store insulin.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, in a truly bad situation, being a diabetic is probably one of the worst things you can be because it's so manageable now. But
Yeah, once you run out of the just-in-time world.
yeah, well, I mean, they were going through that just in COVID.
Yeah.
I mean, they were running out of insulin.
Yep.
I mean, it was nuts. I don't. That whole thing was just ridiculous to me. I don't know. Anything else you can use for money?
I mean, realistically, in a survival situation, anything becomes currency as long as it's valuable to the person you're trading with.
Makes
right?
sense.
So tanned hides. Yeah, you ain't going to the mall to buy your clothes anymore.
I
You're living
think,
off what you
things
got.
with,
I feel like long term though, it's gonna take a while before you have a shortage of clothes. I mean, clothes you should have. Most people own way too many clothes.
A lot of it's not going to stand up to the rough life you're going to live, though.
No, but you should still be able to find it just going and scavenging for quite some time. I mean, because people going to department stores aren't going to bum rush the preteen aisle and steal all the clothes. Like they're going to go and they're going to take camping supplies and they're going to go and they're going to clear out the grocery store. I mean,
Yeah.
they're going to grab what they need, but they're not going to like. A lot of clothes is heavy and cumbersome. I mean, so you might grab some individual items, but
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know. I think clothes is something that we would have to be in a bad way for a long time before, we're making our own clothes. Now, learning how to sew,
Yeah, that's a very valuable
I mean, that's a
skill.
hugely valuable skill. Be able to fix the stuff you got as it starts tearing up so that it lasts longer.
Can you
think
guys sew?
What's that?
Can you guys sew?
I can sew.
I know theoretically how to sew. I understand the concept behind it.
I got a sewing kit over there if you want to do a demo.
Oh my God, I would ruin. What am I going to sew? Like, what do you have that I can ruin? Because I will destroy it.
Sew your sleeves together or something.
But you're
Why
gonna,
would I do it to this? This is a nice shirt. I'm not.
What if it
you're
had a
gonna
hole in it?
need thread, right? So I'm not so sure. I
Well,
mean,
you're not going to put a hole in my shirt just for a demonstration, are you?
can
Why
you
not?
make thread in a panic situation? Can you?
You could use my.
You could, but you're probably not using thread as you know it.
Burlap.
You're using string or something or paracord even. You're gonna strip paracord down.
Things like knowing how to do knots, I think, is
Knots is very important.
Knots.
having rope.
Mhm.
I'm
think
fascinated. I
rope-
watch knots on social media, not like
A lot of the weird-
expert knot tires.
Yeah,
It's fascinating.
Yeah, it's
These guys
awesome.
are awesome.
Yeah.
And I can't reproduce any of them. Like if I'm watching it, I can do it at the time. I cannot remember a knot to save my life.
you need animated knots. The app it takes you step by step on how to do
I'll still
pretty much
forget.
every knot.
I have no skill for knots.
What knotting is one of the things you have to do every day, or you forget. Because I
Okay.
used to know a ton of knots, and now
Like imagine if you had a pile of rope and you had a bunch of waterproof material, and people need waterproof bags. Like you could literally just take and make bags, and people would trade you all kinds of stuff just so they had a waterproof bag to carry with them to keep their stuff in.
What the crap are you talking about? Like what are you doing? Like hobo bags on a stick?
Yeah.
Like okay.
Yeah, you would
I mean,
need.
yeah, I get it.
I mean, yeah, waterproof bags. That's. I mean, I would probably.
You would
just-
have to be able to build bags
Yeah. No. I
so people can carry shit.
mean, I feel like rope and bags is something somebody can make on their own, though. I don't think it's something like you got a booming rope and bag business.
I gotta go see the bag man.
Jimmy the Bag Man.
I think a bag man would do quite
You
quite
know what?
well.
I don't know, maybe, but I will say, if you go back in time and look at the 1400s in the middle of the Middle Ages, wasn't a lot of bagmen, like a lot of cobblers. Like maybe if you make bag shoes.
Imagine that like people's shoes would wear out.
Yes.
You'd have to have like things and materials that you could make stuff for people. If you had, that's why I say like a building where you were just collecting debris, different types of debris, and people were coming to you for, where you could just house things
I just get this mental image
that people need.
of old man crazy Jimmy in a giant warehouse filled with just trash. He went to the dump and started collecting trash, and he's like, "Come!" It's like, I have it all.
I bet
Bring
people
food.
like junkyards, you know, I think that stuff will become real valuable. I think people,
That I agree with.
People would learn how to, like, I need a motor to attach a belt to, like, run this thing. Like, I don't, you know, like Eli. Remember the
Book
movie
of Eli?
Yeah, Book of
Book
Eli.
of Eli?
That
So
was a
like,
good movie. But Denzel,
you know,
Denzel's awesome.
like that post like Escape from New York, after things get all broken down, and that coming back era where you're just gathering things, figuring out what to use it for, how to get radios to work again, how to get, you know, I think like knowing how to do electronics.
Look, in a full meltdown like
think
that,
would be
I
like-
would do awesome for about 4 months. 4 months.
See, I don't think of stockpile.
I don't think I'll make
like,
much further than that. Like, that's it.
Just
And
that you're done.
that's it, and then I'll run out of ideas. And
So 4 months and one day, you're like, I'm out. I'm
What's
done.
your-
I don't think I'll be out. I think I'll just kind of like fade away,
Wither.
like an old general. like Craig used to be helpful in that. He's just gone, and I'll just be gone.
Once your stockpile of, like, you know, normal goods is gone, it's like, what do you do then?
You're adapting. And by that point, you've already developed a lot of skills.
Yeah, you're buying yourself time. So the whole idea behind making sure that you're preparing for the worst, which we know we've got some hard times coming. So if there's ever a time to talk about preparing for the worst, it's now. But by preparing for the worst, you're not trying to survive off of the closet off your hallway filled with Ritz crackers. Like, that's not your plan. Your plan is to buy your family time to come up with a long-term strategy. Whatever that long-term strategy is, that long-term strategy, going to your in-laws in the mountains because you have, your father-in-law lives on a ranch in the mountains is your long-term plan, to get closer to a river for whatever. Like, you need to have a long-term. Is it to hunt off your own land? Whatever it is, to get out of a city if you live in a city. Whatever your long-term plan is, you're buying time so that you're not one of the unfortunate few who didn't prepare at all. Because there's going to be a stampede in the beginning, there's going to be a lull, and then there's going to be, whatever it turns into. And you don't want to be in the stampede.
No.
Yeah. So that's the whole idea, is you prep for the next level. That's why I was saying, like, I'm not talking about buying tactical shotguns to start blowing people away like the Wild West. I brought out 2 firearms that are exceedingly useful in a real life situation. A 20 gauge shotgun for taking down birds, and possibly deer, and a 22 for killing, squirrels and groundhogs and stuff like that. These are real life things. Fishing equipment. And you'd be amazed how long you can survive if you can find a spot where there's fish and you know how to. I mean, it's an
How quickly
exceptionally
would
useful skill.
the fish population
So fast.
go?
So fast.
I don't think it
In
would
theory,
last very
yeah.
long.
Because most of the game fish are stocked.
Yeah.
So you'd have to wait till that recovered.
I think
don't know
there'd
how
be
many
so
people
many hunters
turn
and
to
so
that,
many
though.
fishermen, just like they'd just be killed. Like, they would go out immediately.
I don't know about that.
I think
because there's only
that-
so much meat you can process and store.
Unless you have the skills to smoke the meat and properly store it, you're not going to go out and just grab it. You're going to see it as a resource that you can do when you need to.
And 10 deer isn't going to serve you any better than 1 unless you have a method for long-term storage, because it's going to take a while to eat a full deer. I mean, that's quite a bit of meat. So, yeah, I don't think you're going to see hunters going out and destroying the deer population. I think what you're going to see is a lot of people that aren't hunters going out and traipsing through the woods and doing idiotic stuff.
Get themselves killed.
Getting themselves killed. You're going to see a lot of stupid stuff with people that
But if
Don't know what they're
the
doing.
woods become overpopulated with people, then the animals are gonna seek. They're gonna go further and further away. They're gonna get harder and harder to find. They're very smart,
they are.
Mm-hmm.
So, which
So as soon as you have this, like, as soon as everyone starts fishing, the fish are gonna get smarter. As soon as everyone starts hunting,
I don't
the
think fish
animals
are going to get smarter. Fish are pretty dumb.
Yeah.
They're just going to get fished out if everybody starts fishing. And
I don't know, man.
They
There's
won't vanish, but they just
fish
won't be
have
enough.
intelligence, I believe.
Well, yeah,
Yeah?
they do.
You think they're plotting against us?
I do.
It's that
Damn
whole
it, really?
breathing
I think they're
outside
waiting-
of water. They're kind of screwed at that point.
Which ones?
All of them that get out of water.
I don't
kinda
think it
screwed.
would. I don't know how. I
We'd
don't
have
know.
to be in water for them to overtake us.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know how long.
Like,
Like,
those jumping fish you got to worry
Yeah.
about.
yeah, I don't know how long it takes for fish to populate. But I think like if there became an issue, I think especially like I'd be more concerned in our area that in the suburbs with so many hunters that I know. I think if the hunters came out in droves, I think they could wipe out a lot of the population.
I think you will
Like
overhunt.
right now, they're doing it for fun.
You will definitely overhunt the land. And
They're doing it for fun right now.
No, you definitely
And they're
will.
doing it within the season.
And even squirrels and small game are going to get overhunted. I mean, that won't be a long-term problem, but short-term, yeah, I think you're right.
And then they'll be hunting and they'll be like selling the deer to the people who don't have food. You know
I mean,
what I
but
mean?
you got to remember, if energy is a legitimate crisis, you're not going to be traveling to hunt. So now your hunting geography becomes a lot smaller. So you're not going to have people driving down to, let's say, for ours, the Antietam Lake, because that is a massive use of fuel for a maybe return. Everything becomes return on investment. So do you have a lake close to you, and everybody else who has that same lake close to them, they might fish that lake, but people won't be wasting energy to get to a lake that maybe has fish. So the dynamic of it will change. So a lot of hunters you talk about now, they drive to places to hunt, or they make a trip out of it, or they go to a specific piece of land. Well, now they're hunting their own property or properties around theirs, and there may be areas where you can't go to. A farmer who's defending their land, and you can't walk through that land, or they'll start taking pot shots at you. The landscape changes. So
I think we live in an area where we're suburb, but I don't think it would take long at all for a deer population to get wiped out. I think
I don't either.
I think that where we're at, I think the deer population could be wiped out within a year.
I agree. But I agree not
Easily.
because people would hunt them out. I agree because when you do start having people wandering into the woods and they do spook the deer out, there's nowhere for them to go where there aren't houses. So now the deer that are used to living safely in limited woods are going to be running into human populated areas. So they're going to be putting themselves in more danger trying to escape less danger.
Like my sister has a cabin up north. I can't remember which county they're in. They're up outside of Bloomsburg College.
Okay.
So they're up against hundreds of acres of state game lands. Like, that's a good spot.
That's a great spot.
Except it's probably all hunted out already.
That's where I'm going to go.
Already?
A lot of those places they have thin deer herds because people poach year round. You don't see the same out. So
And
the other thing
they're probably still too close. Like, there are places you could go where it's even more remote than
Well, you
that.
go out in the middle of Pennsylvania and there's nothing.
upstate, there's basically nothing.
Central north. North central PA is literally nothing out there.
But I'd go up there with all my tools and everything I had. If I wanted to flee, I'd go as far as way I could.
So there you go.
In
You
the
got an
most
escape plan.
in the most remote area, I'd take all the tools and equipment I could get my hands on, and I'd go, and I'd say, "What can I do? I can build. I can this. I can that. I can shoot a gun if you got an extra gun. I'm here to. That's what I would. That's my plan.
Okay.
I would
That's
find a
good
remote.
plan.
I would find a remote area and flee. There's no way I'd stay here and try to defend where I live. No way.
All right, you go to flee. Everyone takes the highway. Cars are stranded. Where do you go now?
I'd like to think that I'm going to be more on top of it than running with the masses. I wouldn't think I would do it last minute.
He's not talking about running with the masses. He's talking about after the masses.
After the masses. Highways are going to be congested. Cars are going to be stranded. So unless someone's going through and clearing them.
So I'm saying I would be fleeing before that kind of stuff would happen.
What if it happens when you're sleeping?
That's not going to happen when I'm
Could.
sleeping.
I mean, it's not just necessarily an economic collapse, but
I feel like I have my instincts are much better than that. There
What if-
will be sleep. There will be people that it will happen to while they sleep, but it won't be me.
what if Putin's just like, press the button? Let's just do it. Press it.
Then I'm going to stand out and say,
Bring it, Putin. Is
Bring it,
that what
Putin.
that is? Is that bring it?
"Bring it, Putin."
Oh my God. No,
let's
what do you
let's
do?
watch the fireworks, family.
So what does Tyler do? Tyler, the guy who obviously is the most equipped to survive in this situation out of the three of us. What do?
I have no plans.
You are a lying sack of crap. We only have 3 viewers. Don't worry about it. Nobody's gonna see this.
Dude, I plan to defend nothing
You don't have to
unless
give us
unless it's a stronghold.
broad strokes.
I plan to find community, defend a stronghold, and that's my plan.
You're not coming here.
Knowing that I can bring skills to the table because I have many skills.
I
you
have
do
a
with your family?
350
And-
bottle wine collection. That's a bottle of wine every night for 350 nights. Almost. I will be sitting right here with a bag of Ritz crackers and a bottle of Merlot, and I will just wash them down, and I'll wait for the world to burn down around me. 350 days is a lot of days. That's almost a full year of a bottle of wine a day. That's not a bad way to go out. I got a lot of saltines. I can make this happen. It's a good plan. It's rock solid. Rig up a couple of 20 gauge booby traps on the doors.
Yeah.
It's good stuff.
You could order some.
Come on, give us broad strokes. What's like what?
It really depends on the scenario and how quickly it came on.
Okay, so let's give them some scenarios. All right, so just you can't get fuel. Fuel's gone. Can't get energy.
You're stuck at home. I mean, I'm stuck at home at that point.
All right, so you're defending the homestead. All right, so you can't get food, but the lights are still on.
Lights are still on, can't get food. If food's the issue, I might run.
Yeah,
Take the family. Yeah, I guess got some places we can go.
you might leave.
Mm-hmm.
Take what you got and go.
Most of what I would consider my plans are based around our house with the fallback of getting out.
Now, when you say run, obviously you've got places. We don't need to go into that, but like, do you have supplies for if you run? Like, do you have go bags and stuff like that?
Yeah, there's one over
You
there.
want to show it? Like, show this thing.
Yeah.
So Tyler brought along. Tyler's the real deal, man. Like, Tyler's gonna live. Like me, I'm going down in hot flames. It's gonna be ugly and it's gonna be brutal. Tyler's gonna be like the king of the new world. Like he'll have his own fiefdom.
Dude,
Jesus.
that's a military rucksack.
Yeah,
dude.
that's a rock.
Yeah, it's an Alice pack with Molly straps on it. But this has everything. I mean, some of my stuff's not in it because I was using it in my smaller pack, but I got everything for shelter, first aid, water purification, fire.
You're a perfect target.
Or is he?
Where am I?
Or I don't know. I don't know.
You got a Kevlar down there too?
No, I don't have any plates in here yet.
Why does your bag have a ball sack? What is going on down there?
This here?
Yeah, what
So
is
these
that?
are for
What is it? Can I touch them?
Yeah.
Like, I don't-
It's just
Yeah, let's see what kind of goods you got in that.
Yeah, what's
So I
going
don't
on?
have all my stuff, but I did grab a couple of the extras that I have because this was in my.
How were you never in the military? Like, this blows my mind. This doesn't make sense to me.
So this is like my hammock. I like hammock systems. That's my backup one.
What, you have two?
Is that
You have
waterproof?
4 hammocks?
Four
Nice.
hammocks, yeah.
That's awesome.
Is that waterproof?
It is.
That
It's
Dubs
nylon,
Dubs has a waterproof cover.
But I have a tarp.
Oh, yeah, okay, I
A
got you.
tarp that I hang up as well.
Everything in the military Dubs has multiple things,
Okay, gotcha.
and they're pieces of things. So like when we had our
That's pretty cool.
like our tents, like you would have a half of a tent, like a shelter could fit you, but then if another soldier had his shelter, we could snap them together and build a 2-man tent.
No, that's
Is that it? That's all
No,
you're gonna show?
there's a lot more. So
Why are we
what's-
not showing this
what's in
stuff?
the mind? Go for it. Yeah.
I mean, let's look at the
So
stuff.
that's my main knife there.
Yeah.
Damn.
So what's important about that? It's convex edge, so it's easy to sharpen. Stronger edge, and this is 90 degrees on the back, so you can strike the fire striker.
Ah, I can see you've done it too.
Mhm.
Look at all these
Oh,
marks
yeah.
on here. And this is your fire striker here.
That's one of my fire strikers, yeah. And I also have so this is my fire kit that I keep around.
I have so many supplies I'm going to bring when I go to Tyler's house. When I show up in the middle of the night.
This is a good one for everybody. Could get this and just kind of keep.
Let's
one of these.
let's each get one and go spend a night in it. Can I see the stuff? Are you gonna
pass it down. Go for it.
sell me short there?
Oh, nice. From fire.
Yep, for fire.
Sunny day fire. I'm going to see if I can burn a hole through my bar.
Now that's a good little device to have.
These are
As
awesome.
long as you have sun, that'll start fire.
First time I ever built a fire without anything else was one
I
of
think
these.
that is a very valuable little tool.
It is. And is this plastic?
It's yeah, I think it's some sort of plastic.
Yeah, that'll hold up.
Now what happens if that gets scuffed?
Find something else.
Yeah.
I mean,
You'd have to really
really-
scuff it for that not to work.
Yeah,
this
which
is
should
the-
if it's plastic, it's gonna scuff up easy.
That's why he keeps it in that handy little scuff-free sack.
Yeah, I keep it pretty well
His
protected.
scuff sack.
But if
Dude,
that
freaking, what are you, a villain?
Can you see me?
Yeah, no, I see, like, your eye is humongous.
Is it?
Yeah, it's freaky. All right, look, Mr. Monopoly, take the monocle out. Like you're making it weird. You're doing stuff that's what else? What is
So you
this?
can. This is my fire kit.
Wow,
So like
it
that's
is
flint and steel.
Nice.
I like that.
Couple strikers.
Is this a snake?
Snake. Yeah.
So you hold it like this.
Yeah. And here I'll get you.
No, I shouldn't.
So you would use this
You got to do it with your. You got to
lamp
do that
wick.
with a
and
man
you-
strike.
I'm not gonna do it in here.
Start a
But
fire.
no,
Do it.
because it's a
It
pain.
looked like
in the
a.
ass to
It
put on.
looked,
But
it
you
looked like
just find
a.
a good
look-
sharp edge, and you are striking it so that sparks come out. Might need to chip this one down a little bit, but
Oh, love it. Love it.
so that's just the rock.
What is that? What kind of rock
flint
is
and
that?
steel.
That's flint and steel.
Flint and steel.
Yeah.
Oh, you know what I did? This guy's a ninja. Like, pretty awesome, right?
Yeah.
That's so cool.
So this is another fire starting thing. That's a bow drill kit.
Oh, nice.
I got these to teach the kids. These are nice little just sets,
I've used these before.
tinder and stuff.
What is that?
Never had
Bow drill.
I've never had much success with those.
And then just in here some like tinder.
How much you have invested in this kit?
So like the hammock setup, it took me like to get my full setup. I probably have 500 in that. I don't even know with the rest because I just kind of buy it as I want or I need something.
What do you think to equip like a full-size rucksack, like a full legit go bag?
Is this a good bow? This seems a little chintzy.
That's actually a very good kit. I'm kind of impressed with it. So the way it works is
He's ragging on your kit,
I
man.
don't care. I bought it as a set.
Seems like it would break.
Well, you have so a bow drill, any kind of primitive fire with stick starting,
Yeah.
you need a softwood and a hardwood. So you can get the.
It's better
Ember
than
burning.
not having a bow.
Personally, I wouldn't recommend having one of those as your fire starting means. That's why I have
Well, this is kind of
flint and steel.
this
See,
is this is
see
where
if
it's
I
at.
had to,
This is what I would tell you.
if
you
I
have
had to
anything.
resort to this, dude, I'd rather know how to find a stick in the woods
Exactly.
than have to resort because I don't think this would.
No,
last.
you and that's I
This
literally
is like
bought
a
those
little
for.
toy for,
And that's what they're for. They're to teach you
To
how
mess
to do
around.
It. Yeah.
but not really.
But this is where
practical.
I would start. This is what you want: a striker or
Okay.
a ferro rod, which you can just use with a knife or anything sharp edge, and then that. But really, do I still have it in here?
Are
I'm
we,
gonna take
is
it out.
anybody able to see this stuff?
I don't. You got to be all watching. Yeah, and if you're
Keep this as well. A lighter.
drill
a
kit?
legit lighter,
Yeah.
yeah. I have like 100 lighters. I didn't do any of this.
Not even out. In
I bought like a whole case
Did
of
you ever
lighters,
use this, Tyler?
like stacked.
Yeah, not that one. I have like 5 or 6 of them. I bought them to teach my kids how to do
Oh,
it. Yeah, that's all it's for.
Yeah,
so-
that's a sweet little thing. for-
No, all of this is
mess with
awesome. I
kids.
went a totally different directions. I have in my stock room. I have about 1,000 lighters that are in a waterproof case. And
Lighters?
I just figured the lighter, just big lighters,
Yeah.
just regular lighters.
A Bic lighter.
Yeah.
You would want to get a You should want to get a
Like a butane lighter,
yeah,
something like that. So
and
you can
stock
refill.
butane.
No, see, I just got enough of them.
Get a
I just figured
Zippo.
had
I think
years.
Zippos is be the way to go. If I was gonna stock lighters, I wouldn't get Bics. I'd get Zippos.
No, I hear you. I just,
They stay lit in the flame and wind and like I think stocking Zippo lighters would be
no, I
a
can't.
much better.
I can't argue with
idea.
you. I just figured a ton of disposable lighters and then just keep them sealed up and dry.
Yeah,
And
like you don't want to resort to this if you don't have to. This takes a while to start a fire, even though this is how I start my fires at home when we're out just doing a fire at night.
Really,
I like
you
to use
do?
that.
You started with that? I'm gonna get that.
Yeah,
well, once you get a fire started, this is the other thing you got to remember: is if as long as you're in a place where you can start a fire, not everything's drenched. Once you get it started, you use that fire for all the rest of your fire, so that you'll use very little material to start a fire. So speed is my game. Like I don't want to fight to start a fire, and you'd have to be with 1,000 lighters. I would be going years on that lighter supply before I'd have to find a way to start my own fires.
exactly.
So like my thought was just stock up on things that I don't. That's one thing I don't have to worry about.
Yeah, but those Bic lighters, like if you hold them on long enough, they'll like fly apart. They'll like blow up. And
Yeah, but dude,
if you're trying to start
Yeah,
a fire,
but
with
they're
it.
if you're starting a fire,
If you have paper,
No. You
Like-
gather up starter material.
Yeah, you
I
have.
guess, yeah.
I mean, I start fire. He carries his own. I
That's
was.
lint, just dryer lint.
Yeah, I always gather my own starter material, but I mean, it's so easy if you're out in the woods to find starter material.
Yeah,
I mean-
dryer lint, anything dry.
Yeah.
Grasses.
It's even really easy, even if it's wet. You just let it dry, and
Mm-hmm.
it'll dry out, and it'll start right up. I mean, you're literally going to hold that bick down for 2-3 seconds. It'll catch. You get it into your sticks. You get them to catch,
Yeah.
and then you start adding bigger wood, and the next thing you know, you got a raging fire.
Big wood.
What's that?
Add big wood.
Well, not until the end.
Yeah.
You got to get it hot before you put the big stuff in.
Yeah.
So start with the starter material, then the little sticks, and the bigger sticks, then the
Pinky.
small wood.
Thumb, wrist.
Yep, pinky thumb wrist. That's how I learned too. Nice.
Pinky
Right.
thumb. What?
So you're gonna have
Well, starter pinky thumb wrist. You got to get your starter material.
Yeah, you're
Nothing bigger
kindling.
than your pinky. Nothing bigger than your thumb. Nothing bigger than your wrist.
Yeah, this would be considered fuel. Fuel. These would be your fuel. So if your fire's dying down, you want to throw smaller sticks on because they burn faster. And once you get that fire rolling, then you put on the big, quarter logs or whatever.
That's
just to
how
keep
they.
it running.
That's how they teach that.
Well,
That's just a general rule.
yeah. It's there's a lot of general rules in outdoors. Outdoors.
I guess I would just assume people knew that, but
No.
No, most people don't know how to start a fire. I am fascinated all the time because I've always had a fire pit, and I have a fireplace in this house, a wood burning fireplace. I build fires.
they hold a log this big with a lighter.
You would know the things I've seen, man. I actually saw a dude sit there with a full size quarter cut log and a lighter, and he's got it on there, and he's like, it just won't catch. And I'm like, that'll never catch, you moron. I was like, what are you doing? Like, there's not enough heat coming off that lighter to catch that wood. Like, it is way too compressed. It is way too, but people don't know. Yeah, imagine, we live in 2022. Most people alive have never had to do this.
Yeah.
We live in a society where
Doesn't everyone have a fire pit though?
yeah, fires.
A lot of people have fire pits that are
They
natural
dump.
gas.
Yeah.
most
Turn
of
them
them
up.
not,
Or-
and they dump gas on it.
Or they dump gas. Or look at how many people, or they use starter logs.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, if you use a starter log, you don't even think about it. You just throw that bad boy in. That you do just use a lighter on. Wow. Think about people who live in the city. You can't even have an open flame for most places. So most of these people have never even really experienced. Like when I have people from the city that come and visit me, they're in awe because we have deer on our property and we build fires, and they're not small fires. And we have squirrels running around and chipmunks and stuff like that. And they're constantly like, oh, this is magical. And I'm like, it's not magical. This is called not living in a crappy city. Like, this is what life is. Like, this is.
But I always see those people standing around the trash cans like this on the fire in the city.
I bet they used a bic,
They're just like,
even though this guy's ragging on me.
no, I
Even
mean,
they use Zippos.
you always want your simplest method.
Even the bums know better. You filthy bastard.
I got 1,000 bics.
Well, you know what? When your Zippo runs out of butane and you can't find a butane store, you can't have one of my bics. You're on your own. It's like, eat crap and die.
I'm gonna put you. I'm gonna make a special category in my contact list of bic holders.
Big old.
You're gonna be the first
My nickname's gonna be
entry.
Johnny Bickholder. He's like, hey, Johnny, what's up?
Hey, I need a bic, man.
Johnny Bickholder. All right, we're way over time.
Did we get through all Tyler's
No,
gear?
and I think maybe we even want to do a part 2 on this because
Yeah.
we didn't get into what they should do to prepare and like things that, and we did talk about this in another podcast, but we did talk about skills, which was a big one, and alternate currencies. But the big thing that I just want anybody watching this to take away, if you've made it this long, which I doubt, but please, for the love of God, do not discount what is coming. We have a confluence of things happening right now that in some way, shape, or form are guaranteed to cause hardship. I don't know how bad it's going to be. This was obviously all based on worst case scenario. I don't think it will be that. But I do think that we're going to have some real issues with the food supply.
Well, and, not even just natural catastrophe or global catastrophes, right? Having the skills and knowledge can save you if you're stranded for 3 days in a snowstorm on the highway.
Yeah.
That's literally what got me into this type of stuff was what was it, 78, back in like 2007, 2008. Flat. There was
in
a
their car.
whiteout. People were stuck for 3 days, starving because nobody could get to them. So it's,
And most of them didn't have anything in their car except maybe half a pack of Mentos.
yeah.
I would have not stayed in my car for 3 days.
There was
You
nowhere
couldn't
to
go anywhere.
You couldn't go anywhere. You couldn't.
The snow was that fast and furious and that high. That
And not
you
only
couldn't
that,
run.
but in that part of 78, there's nothing there.
Yeah.
Like, you're in the mountains. So there's nowhere to walk to. You could be walking for days.
And you're probably going to die. 'cause
Why
you
were
didn't
they
wear-
driving?
It was just a,
It was a whiteout.
freak. What do they call those?
It was a squall.
Squall. Yeah, squall. Snow squall
A
came.
3-day squall.
It wasn't a 3-day
No,
squall.
it was like a 3-hour squall. It was a lot bigger than they said it was going to be. They were just calling for basically like maybe some
I
rain.
vaguely remember this.
Yeah, and it turned into an ice storm is what it turned into, which then turned into snow. So it froze the entire highway. So
Yeah,
nobody
and
could drive.
that was that time period where they didn't salt anything, and we had like an inch of ice stuck on our
they
roads.
totally
for like,
screwed up because it was early in
like-
the season,
Yep.
wasn't
It
it?
was
early.
like 2 months. We had like an inch of ice on the roads were horrendous.
Yes, that entire year. I remember that. Yeah, and that was
very-
bad.
Yeah.
Yeah, and those people like it was not good. Some people died.
Yeah.
I mean, it was bad. So
I wouldn't
I
die.
keep a kit in my car because of that same reason. And that kit just has some protein bars. It's got some hand warmers, feet warmers. It's got flares. It's got water. It's got a candle.
Yeah.
Because a single candle can burn for multiple days if you get the right kind, and a single candle in a small space like a car can provide enough heat that you won't freeze to death. It's not going to keep you warm,
Right.
but it will keep the ambient temperature high enough that you won't die of hypothermia. So, I mean, there's some basic stuff you can do with your car to make sure that you get stuck in it. And it doesn't take a lot of space. It's like one small duffel bag in the back of my trunk.
No, but you want to crack the windows.
Gotta crack
Gotta
it. You
crack
don't
the
want to
windows.
die of carbon monoxide.
So one thing that I learned in this, I actually had to use it once. A lot of cars have heated seats now. So assuming you have a full tank of gas, right? You turn your car on, jack the heated seat up,
Warm them all up.
get it all hot, and turn the car off. And then just carry that warmth.
Let it radiate.
I had to do that. It was right after I learned it too, because it was actually in my van. I was in civilization, but I couldn't go anywhere.
Well, in that situation, if you're going to start the engine, make sure if you are in a snow situation that the exhaust pipe
It's
is
not blocked.
dug out.
Yep.
So you got to get out and dig out your exhaust pipe.
Yeah.
Because they're only usually about, foot and a half off the ground? Mm-hmm. And if they're covered, that stuff's got to go somewhere.
Yep.
It's going back in the car, and then you're dead. Carbon monoxide's a bitch. All right, we got to go. It's like an hour and 20-minute show. Thank you. Thank you for being an expert. Thank you for saying some crazy shit. I'm Craig, Jimmy, Tyler. Have a great day.
The Broken Agenda Podcast. Sponsored by Laughing Rock Technology.